Hang on, we just got to make sure. Okay, now we are on the air. Hey, you guys, this is Tony Prophet here. I am actually coming to you live from my home office, and I'm actually taking Steven's Munson's position tonight because he's very busy working on some really cool stuff for all of us in the J.A.M family and the Big Idea Mastermind family. Many of you were invited here by someone else, and perhaps you don't know what Big Idea is, or you don't know what the the Jam family is. But most of you that are on here, you do know that. And if you could just sort of just bear with me for a moment, I want to make sure that we are live and that this is recording. So I'm just communicating here with my good friend Steven here. I just want to make sure that I do you guys some good service today. Have some really cool things in the mix for you today. We are actually going to be doing some cool. Hey, there she is.
Hey,
Christy, how are you?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Awesome. Hey, you guys, this is my friend and family member, Christy Ruffner. Did I say that right,
Yes,
Christy?
yes, you sure did.
It was kind of funny, Christy, because when I had just threw my hat in the ring and I said I was going to do this for Steven, I actually was not prepared. I just literally threw my hat in the ring, and I was like, "Wait a minute! I didn't shave, I didn't shower." So I told Steve, "Give me 5 minutes." I did a really quick wash up and comb and shave real fast, so I can at least look a little bit presentable. But
Yeah,
this is the really cool thing about for those of you that are watching this. This is one of the really cool things about having a home-based business is that you don't really need to be perfect at anything. You don't have to, be clean shaven. You don't have to do all those things like you would do when you go to, uh, okay, it's live. It sounds great. Thanks a lot, Stephen. I know you're really busy, buddy, and I know that you would be here with us, and I really appreciate you, and more than you can possibly thank. So I'm just looking over here, Christy and Stephen, his brother, telling us that everything is going great. So
awesome.
yeah, so you're gonna see me fumbling around a little bit here because as I'm a firm believer, and I don't know how many of you on here will believe the same way I do, but I do believe it's my faith that things happen for a reason, and that mistakes aren't made. I don't believe in certain in coincidences or anything like that. I believe things happen for a reason. Let me tell you why I say that. Earlier today, I was going to do a impromptu live hangout. That's what I called it, an impromptu live hangout, which I probably would have had to rush then. I probably would have had to shave and all that stuff earlier today too, because I wasn't prepared there either. But it was impromptu, and it's just something, the word impromptu states what it is. Yeah. Um, Thanks, Steve. You're awesome, brother. Thank you so much, man. What did they say? Hang loose, brother. But I'm sorry, I'm just looking off to the side over here. Steve's like chatting with me over here. But Steve is the man. Him and Paul are awesome. They're two Munson brothers, and they're doing some amazing, amazing things for our whole entire family. And for those of you that don't know who our family is, and that's the Big Idea Mastermind family. So, right, right, Christy, the Big Idea
Right
Mastermind.
on, right on.
But I was going to do something earlier today. I wanted to do a live training, just an impromptu live training, because we just came back. There were 130 of us together on a private island. That's right, a private island. And if I get a few moments, and I can go off and I can show you guys some of the pictures of this amazing island. Stephen was there, his brother was there, and my good friend Lemo was there, and so many other people. Obviously, Vic was there, and Dave, who are the founders of Empower, they were there, and oh my God, I should have never started naming names. There were so many awesome people there. All 130 people there were all of our family. Wouldn't you say, Christy? They were all of our family members. They were there for a reason, and that is really to get to the same, we're all going in the same direction. We are all heading in one direction, and that is to help each other, lift each other up, and in turn, able to lift you up, the viewer, to take you up to where you want to go, and to some of the goals that you might have, and some of the aspirations that you might have in your life. And that is why we are all doing what we're doing. That is why I threw my hat in immediately when Steven said, "Hey, I can't do this live hangout tonight." And then Christy, Christy said, "Hey man, why don't you try to see if somebody else can do it?" And I just happened, like I told you, I don't believe in coincidences. I just happened to be right there, and I just threw my hat in the ring. I said, "Steven, let's just go with it." I didn't have nothing prepared, nothing at all, and I threw together a slide, and I didn't even open it yet. I don't even know if it's going to work, but if it does, I want to share some things with you that really um, entail exactly what I just shared with you, and that is when I mentioned to you that we all have an intention. Really, if I were to ask 130 people or 140 people, it was somewhere in that neighborhood that were on this island. If I were to go, and I did, because I asked a lot of them, "Hey, why are you here? What is your intention? Why are you doing what you're doing?" A lot of them answered like I'm telling you. We all have an intention to, first and foremost, let me not blow smoke up your backside. We all want to make money. Christy, would you agree?
Absolutely.
I-
It's a
I'm
big
not.
priority.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, "Oh, this is all fluffy, fluffy, and let's just all be in the cloud somewhere." We first and foremost, many of us, and I'm one of them, first and foremost, want to make a living. We want to be able to first free ourselves because you know what? If we are downtrodden and broken, how are we going to help you? Seriously. Anybody that's watching right now, I think there's a Google, there's some parts down below here where you can actually give your comments. I'd appreciate it if you can go ahead and give your comments. Seriously, do you agree with me or don't you agree with me? Either way, you're not going to hurt my feelings or prop me up. We all are doing what we're doing here in the Big Idea Mastermind and in J.A.M. We're all doing what we're doing for first and foremost is for that we can have some type of financial freedom. Because if we have that financial freedom, then we can actually go into some of our goals, and we can start to build up on our goals. And I'm going to go over some of these things with you because if we do not look deep, seriously, look deep into into ourselves. Okay, if we don't look deep into ourselves and really start to see why we're doing what we do. And some of the stuff that we do, it perhaps you could probably say to yourself, "You know what? I'm not doing good." Maybe you have a drug problem. Maybe you have a smoking problem. Steven was just doing a hangout. I believe it was yesterday's hangout, right? Christy, where that young man, I believe his name is TJ, who had a conversation with Steven, and Steven did not tell him, "Hey, quit smoking," right? Christy, he didn't say quit
Yeah.
smoking. He did not say quit smoking. But, but this young man, and I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. I believe his name was TJ. There's a letter.
That's TJ.
TJ. Okay. TJ took it upon himself. Okay. And the cool thing is, I'm going to go into some real deep details, and I'm going to try to help you to pull it out, what you need to do to get these breakthroughs instantaneously like this. But TJ just did it. It's amazing when you just take a moment and make a decision, how instantaneously things happen for you like that. At a drop of a dime, at a drop of your hat, your life can change instantaneously. Stephen, I'll keep using Stephen because you know what? This is his hangout. And I just know from watching what Stephen's been doing and what his brother's been doing, there are some really cool things that's happening right now in Stephen's life. I don't know if I should go into some of this stuff, but he's doing some really cool things. He's getting opportunities to hang out with Les Brown, my main man, Les Brown. He's getting an opportunity to be trained by Les Brown himself. He had an opportunity, several opportunities, to hang out with David Sharp, one of the co-founders of the Power Network. These are things, and if I understand correctly, he's actually moving here in the next little while to a really nice pad. Now Steven's a bachelor, so I would say it's an awesome bachelor pad. These are things that happen that if you just set your intention and make your intention so hot, so white hot, that when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is jump out of bed and you run towards what you're trying to accomplish. It's amazing how fast it happens, how doors just start to open up. I mean, little things like today I wanted to do an impromptu thing, so I got a YouTube slap on all of my accounts. I have 5. Can you believe that, Christy? I have 5 accounts. All of them but one was slapped close. And the one that wasn't slapped, I wouldn't really put this type of video on it. So here I'm getting slapped everywhere, and then this opportunity opens up, and I'm able to share with you what I really had intended on sharing with you guys earlier today, except it's later in the day. So, these are things that when you guys really begin to understand that it's not about the money. See, because once we get past that first portion of our need, it's really a need that we have to pay. So pay, quote unquote, our bills, pay, quote unquote, our mortgage or anything like that, which are your bills. Or maybe you'd like to go on a vacation, okay, and you don't feel like you're able to at the time because finances don't allow you. You notice I'm very careful in the words that I use. You notice that, Christy, the words that I'm using I'm very, very careful on what I'm saying, because I don't like to say that you don't have it or you can't, because you can. Because let me tell you a little story here on what happened to me, and this actually happened to someone else. His name escapes me right now, but there was a young man who was actually in on Facebook in our Big Idea Mastermind, and he wrote me an instant message on Facebook, and he said something to me about. He was talking to me about a couple of things. I won't go into it, but he mentioned one thing. He said, I asked him, the first question I asked him, we were talking for a little while, and I asked him, hey, are you a Diamond member? If you don't know what a Diamond member is, you will. That's not important, but just so that for the sake of this, what I'm trying to explain to you here. I said to him, hey, are you a Diamond member right now? And he said, Tony, no, I'm not. I was like, okay, well then what's holding you back? Seriously, what's holding you back? And we talked a little while, and then the trip to Hawaii came up, and we went there, and we were doing some really cool things in Hawaii. And it just turns out that when I was gone and came back, I noticed that he said he was Diamond, and he made $1,500. Do you remember the webcast we did, the live webcast we did from live from Hawaii? You remember that one?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. On that hangout, he wasn't even in Hawaii, I don't think. I don't think he was in Hawaii. He wasn't even in Hawaii, but he made it his intention to get all in. Just like this bracelet says, all in, okay? He made it his intention to get all in, and when he decided to get all in, he had a $3,500 day in total. Did you see that post, Christy? Did you see that post?
Yes, they even made mention of it on the webcast, didn't they?
Yeah.
They saw it in the comments.
Yeah, a $1,500 day, and then he made a $3,000 day while he was at the movies. So I wrote to him. I won't say his name because I don't want to, I don't know if he even wants me to share this story. But I wrote to him real quick. I said, hey, wait a minute. I just scrolled through the chat that we had here a couple days ago. When did you go Diamond? And I started laughing. I was like, dude, you just went. I didn't say dude, but that's me thinking to myself when I'm typing. I said, hey, man, you just went Diamond. You made that decision. You had a $1,500 day, and then you have a $3,000 day while you're out with your family to the movies. You see how amazing this thing is? And it was because he made a decision. You see what I'm saying, Christy? He made a decision in that moment. In that moment. I don't know if it was because of what I don't know if it was because, what I said or anything like that. I doubt it, but maybe it was. He said, hey, man, he said in the post, he said, I'm going to go to the platinum level. I'm going to do that this week when I get paid. I remember the conversation. And then he said, this is really cool, Christy. He said, I have a Honda that I have not driven in a long time, and I'm going to sell it. And that's what he did. So he went through, and I also told him about a video that I made and how I go in there and I put some brain teasers and some brain joggers, in the video to help people to understand that the limits that they're placing on themselves and on their business, it's really limits that they are self-imposed. You know what I mean? Those are pictures. Our mind thinks in pictures, okay? So if I said to you right now, Christy, do not think of a pink elephant. You thought about a pink elephant, didn't you?
Of course.
That's the way the mind works. The mind works in pictures. So when I said to this young man, he is a young man, when I said to him, hey, listen, when you tell yourself you can't, you're absolutely right. But then if you take that coin and you flip it over, if you tell yourself you can, you absolutely can. And he was like, wow, that's really cool. And then I get these messages that he's going to go diamond. He told me how he went diamond and that he had a car to sell. It was a Honda, I remember that. And he had a car to sell. He sold it. And immediately after he did that, he got a $1,500 day and he had a $3,000 day. Now, am I making any income claims whatsoever to you? No, I'm not. There's a good chance you won't make any money at all. There's my income claim. There's my income disclaimer. There's a possibility that whatever you do, you might stay broke. There's a possibility that whatever you do, you might get rich. So what I'm trying to tell you is we are not making any income claims here. We're not saying you're going to make any money. But I'm telling you this, what I'm going to be talking to you about here in a few moments, if you were to seriously sit down and take the time to do what I'm going to teach here. Now I'm going to do it in a sort of like a lapsed, like in a quick status because my good friend Christy here has to step off. And like I said, Christy, if you do have to go, listen, just go and just say, hey, I got to step off because you got other things to do. If I take longer than an hour, which I don't plan on it, but sometimes if the point that I'm trying to make is a point that I believe needs to be made, I'm going to go ahead and follow through, and I'm going to go ahead and still, do what I intended to do here in the very beginning. Is that okay with you, Christy?
Absolutely, you bet.
Awesome. Now we're getting just a little bit of feedback in the background. Is there any way maybe we could work on that? Just give me a second. I have somebody to answer this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some really cool concepts here, and hopefully I don't screw up this. Hopefully I don't screw this thing up, but I don't think I will. But so do you guys understand? Do you guys understand what I'm trying to share with you here, and how important it really is that you set an intention? And what I mean by an intention is make it very clear, and I'll go into some steps here with you in a moment. Make it very clear where it is that you want to go, like that young man did. And I don't want to say his name. That's why you hear me not saying his name. I don't want to say his name because I don't know if I have permission to share his story, and I probably don't. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share with you. I'm just looking over here because I got two monitors here, and I'm trying to set this thing up for you. And I'm trying not to knock you guys off. That's what I'm hoping not to do, is to knock you guys off. So give me a second here. But do you guys see how when somebody made a decision, how when they made that decision, how everything just sort of went in their favor, because what they did was they set it an intention, and when you, whether it's a lie or whether it's something that you're saying negative or positive, when you tell yourself something and you can repeat it to yourself and you continually say it to yourself, when you continue saying something, whether positive or negative, it becomes your reality. Because what the words that come out of your mouth, what the mouth speaks, goes out, comes back, and it makes your reality. And I tell you, I've seen this so many times in my own life where I would say I'm going to head out, do something, and by golly, it came true. Didn't that happen to you, Christy, many times where you'll say something and you make that your intention and you set out to do it, and then all of a sudden when you set out to do that, bam, it just starts to happen? Is that correct? Yep, you muted yourself out, so you might unmute yourself when you're going to answer.
Okay.
No, I appreciate you muting yourself out because it just helps to make all of us, and I'm sure that you really want to help us out in doing that. So that's awesome. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to post this real quick, and then give me 1 second. All right. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to try my best here. This is the first time I'm doing this, and believe it or not, you guys, let me just tell you a little bit about me and who am I and why should you even care about what I'm saying. I'm going to give you the short version of my story. I'm going to give you a very short version of it, okay? Back in 1997, I fired my boss, and I never called him back. And reason why I had to do it is because I chose back in 1997 that I do not want to be enslaved, all right? Now, let me explain to you what I mean by that. To me, in my own opinion, to have a job is just over broke. And I've told myself this for a long time, since I was about 18. So I'm in my 40s now, so you can figure out how many years I've been at this game. And it has not been a bed of roses. And if anybody tells you that having your own business or anything like that, or doing anything like what many of you probably are doing right now, if anybody tells you that it's simple, they're lying to you. I'm sorry to say it, but they're lying to you. It's going to take work. It's going to take tenacity, and tenacity means stick to it. It's going to take that. And since 1997, it's been let me just say an uphill climb. All right. I went through some bouts of depression, started a real estate empire and lost it all. And then that's what caused me to get into that little bit of a bout of depression for many years. And until I really started to talk to myself the way I'm talking to you, and until I really started to read the good books, like As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, The Millionaire Next Door, all the books from T. Harv Eckert, all of these books, Psycho Cybernetics, which is a book that I just started to read. I actually have it here on my iPad, and I read it. I read it on my iPad here. And these books that my mentor Vic teaches us to read, and actually I've heard Stephen and his brother talk about these books all the time, because readers are leaders. Okay, readers are leaders, and you're probably thinking to yourself, "Well, I don't want to be a leader." Well, you are a leader already, even if it's a leader to one of your children, even if it's a leader to, if you're young, if you're 18 and you have a younger brother, or 19, if you're down or younger in age, you are a leader to someone. Believe it or not, you influence someone, whether it's good or bad, on a daily basis. Would you agree with that, Christy? We actually influence people on a daily basis, even when we don't know it. So what I want to do is I want to help you. Um, I want to help you to be able to get these parts, these nuts and these bolts together, because if you're like me, which I'm sure we are trying to do the same thing, if we're trying, I'm sure like Christy here, who are trying to start something so that maybe someday you can say, hey man, have a nice day to your boss. Or maybe you want to say to your boss, hey, listen, I'm not going to work full time anymore. I want to work part time. Whatever, whatever it is that you have as set as your intention, it is my goal today to try to help you to understand what it is you have to do. Really, if you can just sit down, there's 8 points that I'm going to make here. All right. There are 8 points. And I ask you to forgive me right now, because if I set this thing up and it doesn't go as I planned, then I'm not going to be embarrassed. Really, I'm not. I just don't have I don't have a tendency to get embarrassed. I'm just going to ask you to forgive me, and let's just roll with the punches. What do you say, Christy? Is that cool? We just roll with
Absolutely
it?
cool. You bet.
All right. So I don't know, Christy, did you want to share a little bit of your story, and then we could tell the folks here a little bit about your story, and then who is Christy, and why you doing what you're doing, and then we can jump right into it if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, well, my story is probably just about like everybody else's here. Trying to find financial freedom, wanting to fire my boss, and really just wanting to be paid what I'm worth. I'm tired of working multiple jobs and still not having enough money to make it through the end of the month. But I think the most important thing that what we are doing here as a group is we are trying to grow bigger and better as human beings, and in doing so, making it easier for us to find success. Because like you were talking about, Tony, when you talk to yourself with negative words, that's what you're creating in your life. And so many people don't understand that as they focus on the negativity in their lives and what they're trying to get away from, they're actually bringing more of that to themselves instead of actually focusing on the goal, the end goal, and staying in tune with that and keeping that the utmost thought in your mind, as opposed to trying to get away from this, trying to head towards that. And when you're talking about leaders being readers, it's really as much leading yourself into that promised land, and getting yourself out of the bad habits that we have grown into because of our society and how everything tries to keep us down and hold us down. So that's my intention, is to really grow myself, and at the same time be able to reach out to other people and help share that those insights that I gain from reading the wonderful books that our leaders recommend to us, that have taken them to the place where they're at, and that's where I want to be. So I've been online for about 10 years. I haven't been successful to this, up until, Big Idea Mastermind has been just a huge godsend to me, and I'm hoping that that we can reach out and bring a lot of people with us. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to you, because I'm hoping maybe you're ready to move on.
Yeah, man, you're awesome. You're so awesome. I actually got it up. I don't know if it's going to work, but and I didn't mean that way. But anyway, that came out kind of wrong. But anyway, you guys, we have fun. We really do. If you don't have fun doing what you're doing, whatever it is, I forget who it was that said that. Was that Ford, Christy, who said that? If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then don't do it, or something like that. But anyway, something similar to that. And probably some of the guys that are watching on the Hangout, because we got quite a few people watching this, and you're probably over there screaming, "Hey, Tony, it's this." But you guys understand what I'm trying to say. If you don't have fun doing what you're doing, then why are you doing it? Seriously. You know how many people, seriously, in the United States, I don't know where a lot of you people live, but listen, there are people they're watching this from all around the world. But in the United States, the what do you call that? Suicide rate. Yeah, the suicide rate is extremely high. Do you believe that? In a country, I'm using just the United States. In a country, and I had a conversation with Paulo Barroso, who also lives in the UK. In the UK, right? Christy lives in the UK, and we were talking. We were actually having a conversation, and there was a bunch of us there. Miles and his wife and a couple of us were sitting at the table, and we were just sort of chatting. And he said that where he lives at, he felt kind of bad. He didn't want to really go back home. His family's there, but he felt like, oh man, I got to go back home, because at home, where he lives, the stress level's really high. And and then when I finally decided to leave the island of Hawaii and come home, when I finally decided to come back home, I said, I'm going to look that up real quick, and I see that the suicide rate is high there too. And one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons, and this is just my way of thinking, that one of the reasons that I believe this stuff happens is because people quit. People say, enough is enough. I'm quitting. I can't make it. I can't do. Notice those words. I can't do this. I can't go here. I can't buy that. I can't. You see what I'm saying? And what happens is, this is what starts to embed in people's minds, in those pictures that start to get created in their minds, is, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do to stop this pain? Because we don't intentionally like to be in pain. I mean, Christy, if I went over and I put a vice grip on your finger, would you really want me to squeeze it? You wouldn't, right? You wouldn't want me to start squeezing on this thing with a pair of pliers or a vice grip or something like that. You wouldn't. You wouldn't want me to take my car and drive over your foot several times. You wouldn't want that. So we don't intentionally put ourselves in a position of pain. So what happens is, sometimes people would like to take the path of least resistance. And many times they'll say, well, I'll just take my own life. And that's what happens. So I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist or anything like that. I'm far from that. But remember my story, what I told you, I went through that. I didn't get to that point where I said I want to take my own life. Never that. But, you get to that point where you just swallow in your pain. You sit there and all you want to do is complain, and all you want to do is wallow in your pain. So this is something that's been working on me since our Hawaii event, which is just last week, and had a few moments to speak with Les Brown, just a few quick moments. So I had to be fast. And there was something that he said to me, because I said to him, I said, hey, listen, a lot of people tell me that I should share my knowledge that I have up here. And there's a good friend of mine, John Alexander, who's he lives in Texas. Hi, John, if you're seeing this. You know, he said to me one time, you can't keep your knowledge to yourself because what good is it? What good is it learning something and not sharing it? That's kind of stingy. So I said to Les Brown, hey, I get a lot of people that tell me that I should, be more open. I really, really had a problem with doing what I'm doing right now. I know maybe you're watching this and you're saying, yeah, right, Tony, you don't have a problem with this. No, I do. I really had a problem with showing my face on a camera, with talking like I am today. So, my friend, how do you think I got here? I got here from doing what I'm about ready to teach you. If you were to take what I teach you and seriously, seriously implement it, your life will change. Your business will change. Your marriage will change. Your children will see a difference in you if you have children. Your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your everyone that's around you will start to see the difference that is in you because you took, and I apologize, I'm Italian and I point a lot. I'm Christy, I point a lot. But, and I talk with my hands, so I apologize that I am I very much talk with my hands all the time. But if you were just to take this information, and I'm not talking about just a little bit of it, I'm actually saying all the information that I'm going to share with you here. I'm going to do my best not to run through it fast. And this is why you heard me share with my colleague here that if she needed to go, that she's just going to step away and she has some other things to do. But I really would like, if it's okay with you guys, to finish what I'm sharing with you here because it's that urgent. It's been really working on me, I would say, for the past 3 to 4 months. Okay, for the past 3 or 4 months, it's been working on me. How can I be of value to you? What can I do to help you? What can I do so that if I could just, I always say this all the time in the Facebook group, if I could just help one person, just one person, and that might be you. If I could just help one person, do you know that you helped me to fulfill my life's purpose? And that is to help as many people. I have Vic and I have a lot of, we talked about this on the beach. We have a lot of things in common. Vic wants to help as many people as possible. He put a number to it, but I think it's going to be a lot more than that. Don't you agree, Christy? It's going to be a lot more than that. Oh, yeah. So the point that I'm making here is that we really, really want to help as many people as would allow us to help them, as would allow us, because it's up to you. I can't help you if you don't want to be helped. The funny thing is when somebody has, and you can ask Dave Sharp this, and anybody who had a drug habit. I had family members that had a drug habit, and one lost his life because of that. I won't go into that right now, but because I don't want to get emotional. But when someone has a habit, notice I said habit, drug habit. When they say these things, when somebody has a drug habit, they are doing this to themselves. You see what I'm saying? And they don't understand it. And until they understand it, that the way the mind works and how important this is. There are people that tell me, Tony, this is not important. Why are we even talking about this? Just show me the marketing strategy. Christy, right? Just show me the marketing strategy. That's what I want to know. How do you get 15 opt-ins an hour? That's what's been happening these past couple of days. And I made a Facebook post and I said, it's amazing when you change the subject line and study what you have in your courses. Study what you pay good money for. It's amazing how it can just take your business and turn it like this, just like that, just like that. And these are the things that if you were just to please take a moment, seriously take a moment, just a moment, and implement what I'm about to teach you, you're going to see, and I really believe with my heart of hearts, that I'm going to start to get messages and say, Tony, you changed my life. And that's what I want to do. If I can just help one of you, and there are so many of you on here now, there's a lot of viewers on here right now. And I don't even want to look at that because I don't want that to sort of disturb me because then I'll realize that a lot of people are watching this video, Christy, and then I don't want to fumble. So just take a moment now, grab your pen. This is where you grab your pen, and this is where you grab a piece of paper, and please take notes. Okay? I almost showed you a little secret document here that I'm giving away to our folks that are in our diamond level. And this is actually something that we were giving away, but I won't go into that. Um, you probably know what it is, right, Christy? Um, so let me see what I can do here. I'm going to do a screen share, and so what? Right before I do that, Christy, what is it that you see? Can you elaborate, maybe share on some of this stuff that I'm talking to you about? Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. One of the things is my leading line in my major definite purpose that I repeat myself is that it's my mission to inspire and empower the willing. And that's really a key point here because you can talk yourself blue in the face. And if the people on the other end aren't open to accept and at least try the ideas that you're going to share here, it's going to be their fault, not your fault. And that's we need to take responsibility for ourselves and for our business and for our successes. And instead of passing the buck and making excuses and, saying that it's some other problem that's causing your lack of success. And I read it once in a book. I can't remember what the book was named right now, but even if the problem is out of your control, it's still in your control to decide how you're going to respond to it and how you're going to move forward through it and how you're going to change the results. That's up to you. And if we can get to the point where we can recognize the power that we have in our own brains to make that decision, to create that thought, that creates the emotions within us that cause us to stand up and take action. It's like when you're watching a football game or something and somebody runs across and makes a touchdown and you go, yeah! That emotion causes you to create that action. And that's the way we need to be in our business. We need to have such powerful thoughts as to where we're going, the intent of where we're going, that it creates that emotion within us that we have to get up and do something about it. We can't sleep, we can't eat until we do whatever it is that we need to do to create that result. Whether it's making our first money online, or whether it's reaching out and making a difference in somebody else's life, or whatever it is. It starts here in your brain. And then there's just a formula that it's like 2 plus 2 is 4, and 2 plus 2 always equals 4. Nothing changes that, and it's the same way with the formula for success. So I totally agree with you. I know you got some good stuff to share with us, Tony, so let's go.
It's funny. It's really funny that you talk about that. I did a live hangout with my good friend Miles. Him and I really this past weekend, Miles Seegers and his wife, beautiful wife Sonia. These are two lovely people, and I really got to know them. This past weekend when we were in Hawaii, and I did a hangout with him, and I said, Miles, this is something that if people were just to understand the power of the real estate that they own. Many people think, well, I don't own no real estate. What do you mean? I don't own no real estate, Tony. You stupid. I rent an apartment, or I rent a trailer home, or I rent whatever. I live on the street. You do own real estate. Now, it might only be 6 inches of real estate, but that is the most important piece of real estate you'll ever want to own is the 6 inches between your ears. 6 inches. How do I know it's 6 inches? I had my wife measure my ears, ear to ear. 6 inches. Do you believe that? And I own this. I always tell people, you can take my body, you can take my limbs, you can take every nickel that I have, you can take all my clothes, you can take everything that I have, all the material things, but you can't take my thoughts and you can't take my mind. There was a study done by those people. This is very important stuff, people. I really hope you appreciate what I'm sharing with you here. This is very vital stuff. And if you can understand what I'm sharing with you, your life is going to change. Your life is going to change if you let it. There was a study done. I went to Pearl Harbor this past weekend. And it's a shame what happened that day. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here because what happened that day is terrible. And I saw some things that, I'm sorry. I saw some things that happened. Shit. I didn't want to do this. Damn it. Grown man crying, right? I saw some things, and Steven that lives there, he knows what I'm about ready to say. Some things that happened to those innocent people in Hawaii when they were attacked. And I saw some things, some pictures of bodies laying there. And I was doing some research when I got home. I apologize, people. Oh, no, I don't apologize. I'm just being real. I'm wearing my feelings on my sleeve. This is how serious I take this. This is how serious I take what I'm doing here for you. Because I'm not doing this for me. My life is not going to change one iota. One iota if you decide to or not to do this. Seriously. The person that invited you here cared enough to invite you here. The person that asked you to come and watch this, if I were to ask that person who asked you to come and watch this, why did you invite that person? I'm going to tell you that their first answer coming out of the mouth is, I want to try to help them as much as I can. And that's why I get emotional. But I saw some things on when Pearl Harbor, the whole thing happened in Pearl Harbor. I won't go into details, but I saw some dead bodies, pictures of dead bodies. And it was a real emotional ride for me. I posted some pictures and stuff like that. And so I did some research when I got back to the suite. And I was just having a conversation with my spouse, and I was saying, this is really terrible what happened. And you never know until you're there, until you start doing the research yourself and see what really happened. So I started to do some reading and watching some video about some POWs and some of the things that the POWs and how they made it. How did they make it? Christy, can you imagine you're in a camp, you're being taken hostage. And maybe this has happened here in Pearl Harbor. I'm not sure, but it happened in many other wars. So the thing that I'm trying to point out to you here is that when these POWs, and maybe there's a POW watching right now and shaking your head that what this guy is saying is fact. The way they got through this, Christy, I read this. The way, I think there was one of our people that were running for president. His name escapes me, but he was a POW. And they asked him, and I apologize, I don't remember his name, because very rarely do I remember a politician's name other than a couple of them. But anyway, they asked these POWs, how did you make it? How did you make it out of this hell that you were going through? How did you do it? Every single one that survived, they said, I'm paraphrasing basically what I said. They can take everything that I have. They can beat the living shit out of me, excuse my language. They can beat the crap out of me, but they can't take my money. The one gentleman that I'm referring to, and I apologize, I don't remember his name. He was a politician. He said, this is what he said. I think it's in his books too. He said, and some of you that read and care about what politicians do, you probably know the person's name. Okay, but he said he played golf every day. Christy, he played golf every day. How the hell does a man play golf every day when he's locked up? He can't go nowhere. He's chained down. In his mind. This man played golf in his mind every day, every day, every day, and he made it out. My friend, the moment, the millisecond that you take into consideration what I'm about ready to share with you, the moment, the millisecond that you say, you know what, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm watching this crazy guy on this video telling me to do this crap. I'm going to do it, damn it. I'm going to do it. Right, Christy? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And please don't say I'm going to try it. Notice I didn't use that word. There's a couple books that you can get on words. All right? There are a couple books that you can get on words. Get them. There are powerful words that you can say on a daily basis to yourself. And there are words like the word can't that you really need to take out of your vocabulary immediately. Do it now. Don't say those words. Because what the mind can conceive and believe, it will achieve. read the book Think and Grow Rich, and you'll understand what I'm saying. So that's what I'm trying to share with you. This is how important this is, what I'm trying to share with you. And this is why I am doing what I'm doing for you, because I really want you to get this. And the minute you get this, you're going to know and you're going to understand what I'm trying to share with you. So let's go out without further ado, Christy. I know that was a long introduction, but let's just do it real quick here, because I really do want to share this with you. And if you could just let me know, Christy, that you can see it. And then we're going to go here in a moment. Hopefully I did pick the right one. Is that a blank screen you see there?
Right now it's just black.
Okay, hang on a second.
I see your cursor moving around down on in your toolbar.
Okay. I hope that this will work. Give me a second here. I really hope. Can you see that?
Not. Yes, well-formed outcome.
Okay. Now, my friends, if you can mute out Christy, this is going to be good. You're going to love this. My friends, listen really closely to what I'm going to go over here. And I owe a debt of gratitude to Layla for this information. This was something that, I learned a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to share it with you because I think it's that important that you should be able to have this information at your disposal. So I appreciate it if you could just take some notes here, what I'm going to go over. David Wood's brother, his name is Will Wood, teaches this. And this is something that he's taught at one of the events. And it's stuck with me. I actually missed the event. I actually got this information through someone else that was at the event and taught it. So I'm going to share it with you because it was that important to me that I really show you how important it is to have that well-informed outlook and outcome. You really want to have that well-formed outcome. It's very important. And if you remember when I told you about when you have your statement, when you make a statement, you might call it a goal, but when you make your statement, you really want to make that statement a positive statement, okay? You do not want to say don't. Like I don't want to lose my house, or I don't want to lose my car, or I don't want my children to dislike me. You don't want to use the word don't, okay? All right? So what you want to do is you want to put it into a positive. When you make your goals out, you want to make it into a positive. When you set your goals, you must set them in a positive standpoint. Like you must use positive words when you do it. Don't use the word don't. Like I don't want to pay. Say I want to pay my mortgage off. I want to. Eliminate the word don't. Don't use that word. Just use the word I want to. So when you do that, you ask yourself, what do I want? What do you really, really want? What is that thing that burns in your inner being? It burns inside you, and that's the thing that you just think about, and you just dream about. What is that thing? And maybe you're saying to me, Tony, I don't have anything like that. Okay, well, with these exercises, these 8 points that I'm going to go over here in the next few minutes, with these 8 points that I'm about ready to point out to you here, I'm going to try to do my best to help you to come up with those pointers, to help you to be able to get that well-formed outcome. All right. And I'm going to explain to you what a well-formed outcome is. I'm going to give you the sort of like the revised version of it. A well-formed outcome is when you know in your head exactly what's going to come out at the end. If it's $5,000 a week, you put that in there and you make it a positive written out statement, and you go into detail, exactly detailing what do you want. Okay. And then you say to yourself, you have to add the values to it, okay? You can have that statement of your goal. Let's just call this your goal, okay? If you want to call this your goal, that's fine. You can call this your goal. I call it a statement or a goal, all right? But if you want to set your goal, all right, you want to make sure, why is this objective so important to me? Why is this objective so important to me? Why is this goal, this thing why do I want to make $5,000 a week? Why do I want to make $10,000 a month? Or whatever your goal is. Why do I want to love my children more? Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be monetarily. Why do I want a 5,000 square foot home? Why do I want to drive a BMW? Why do I want a Mercedes Benz? If you can just get in there and really ask yourself these questions that we're going to go over here. What is the objective important to me with this? Why? And then again, and then which of my core values does it serve? This is very important. Don't ignore this. All of us have values. All of us have values. If you say, what's going to happen is if you set an intention or you set a goal that goes against your values, your current values, because we all have, believe it or not, we all have values that are instilled in us from babies. From the minute we were born, values were instilled in us. Okay, many of us had family members that'll tell us, "You won't amount to nothing." Maybe many of you have family members that have, that had chastised you and said bad things to you and kept you negative. And now those values, okay, are your core values. All right. I want to suggest a book that you need to go and get. And that's a book that I read many years ago. And I'm actually going to pull it out because I'm reading Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics now. I'm reading those two books, and as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to get this book out. Again, it's Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. That is a very powerful book. It's a book that'll help you on what I'm teaching you here. It'll help you to understand your core values and how to find your core values and how to change perhaps those core values that you have right now in your mind, but that you don't want. You know what I'm saying? Like those are values that you don't want, and you want to change them. And that is a very good book to get. And I suggest you go to Amazon or see if you can buy it used or whatever. And it's from Tony Robbins. Anything from Tony Robbins is awesome. Tony Robbins is just an awesome guy. And all his teachings are awesome too. But Awaken the Giant Within. I read that book actually in 1998, 99. So we're going way back. But I believe that's when I read it. But I read it years ago when I was young. And I haven't read it since because I've been reading these other books. But I'm definitely going to pull that book out because you know what? As I'm sitting here talking to you and telling you to do these things, I'm actually sitting here pointing all my fingers back at me. Because not only do I say, hey, you should do this, man, I have to look in the mirror and say, Tony, so do you. You got to do this. So this is something that, hey, let's do it together. What do you say? How about if we do this together? How about if we take these principles, these 8 core principles that we're going to go over here, and let's do them together, okay? Because I already started this. I've done it many times because I'm actually a all-in member. I'm all the way up to the diamond level, and I actually do listen to 30 days of audio, 30 minutes of audio. I actually do read 30 minutes, and I'm doing this for 30 days. And then when the 30 days ends, guess what? I do it again. So it's a multiple 30 days that I do this stuff. So that's another thing that I would like to share with you. And Vic calls it the 30-30-30. Those of you that are already members, you know that Vic shares and teaches the 30-30-30. All right, and the 30-30-30 is very important because what you're doing is you're setting in your habits that you have to do something for 30 days. Okay, so it's 28 days, but let's just round it off to 30 days. You have to do something 30 days so that you can implant the habit. You understand what I'm saying, Christy? You have to do something for 28 to 30. Let's just say 30. It's 28, but let's just say 30. You have to do something for 30 days in order for it to become a habit. Okay. So what Vic teaches is 30 days. You want to listen 30 minutes of audio. Okay. That's 30 minutes of audio a day. Okay. And you want to read a book, a good book like Psycho-Cybernetics or Think and Grow Rich or Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. Sorry about that, I had to take a sip of water. And you want to do that for 30 days. Okay? Do that for 30 days. And you're going to see how when you start to go over this stuff and you start to look at your values and you start looking at your statement or your goals, when you start to look at this stuff and you really start taking a very serious look at this, you'll understand that when you start doing the audios for 30 minutes a day, and when you start to read a book for 30 minutes a day, you start doing that for 30 days, all of these things will start to be coming to you easier. It'll get easier as time goes on. Is it going to be simple at first? No. You're probably going to want to quit. And just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Don't quit. And then also you want to ask yourself, how does it reflect who I want to be? See, a lot of times people say, I want this, but really it's that you want the outcome of what you're getting. You understand what I'm saying, Christy? It's sort of like when you drive a 7 Series BMW. I got a 7 Series BMW, so I like BMWs and whatever car it is you like. But, I didn't get that car because I wanted that car. You understand what I'm trying to say? Well, my wife wanted it, but anyway, we didn't get that car because oh, we wanted that car. We got the car, and I'm going to be very transparent with you. We got it because of how it makes you feel. I don't know if you ever drove a 7 Series BMW, all-wheel drive, but when you get behind the wheel of a 7 Series BMW and you put that metal, you put the pedal to the metal and you start taking that puppy down the highway, and you feel the rumble of that engine. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. So, you have to ask yourself, how does it reflect who I want to be? Who is it that you want to be? This is very important. So make sure you ask yourself those questions when you're going through this process here. Number 3 is the context. No matter what it is you decide to do, okay, whatever you decide to do that's going to be working on your well-formed outcome, there are people involved, right, Christy? There's people involved. Some of us have a spouse. Some of us have children, all right? Some of us have other things that, that we have to really think about. And some of us do this subconsciously, but I'm asking you to do it consciously. Seriously, sit down. When you start writing these things out, I hope you're taking notes. But when you start writing these things out, you want to put down who is involved. Who's involved in making this a reality? Who's going to be a part of this? Maybe Big Idea Mastermind, the teachings that you're getting out of the Big Idea Mastermind. You could put that down. Who's involved? Well, maybe your mentor. Maybe the person who invited you into the business. Maybe you're not in Power Network, maybe because I invited everybody on my list, and a lot of them are not in Power. But whatever it is you're doing, whether it's a brick and mortar business, maybe you're a real estate investor. Who is involved in these goals that you're setting and these things that you're writing down? Who's going to be involved? That's very key. You want to write that out because you want to have a conversation with those people. You want to involve them in this, okay? And who else is going to be involved? If, other than your spouse and maybe your children and things like that, who else is going to be involved? And when do I want it? That's so important. When you write a goal or you write an intention, what you want to do is you really want to write it in a form of that you're putting a date on it, okay? Like say, for instance, your goal is to have a $5,000 a week income. Let's just use that for instance. $5,000 per month will be coming in monthly by, okay? You want to say it like that, and then you want to put the time. So let's just say it's $5,000 per week will be coming in monthly by September 30th of 2013 at 4:30 p.m. Most of us know that we get an email from Empower right about that time on a Friday, somewhere around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I put here for 5 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. So what you want to do is you want to do that, and you want to make sure that you put on there, when do I want it? You got to be very specific. When do I want it? So put the date and make sure you put the time. All right. And where do I want it? Where do I want it? That's really important that you put on there, where do I want it? In other words, where do you want this outcome to be? Do you want it to be in your personal life? Do you want it to be in your spiritual life? Do you want it to be in your financial life? Do you want it to be, these are things that you need to be very specific, and you need to try to hone them down and be very straight. I mean, just like a horse, when he has these blinders on, he's just looking straight ahead, and he's not looking to the left and he's not looking to the right because he can't. He has blinders on. That's what you want to do. You want to put blinders on when you do this, and you want to be very, very specific on this. And so you want to, so when you ask yourself, where do I want this? Do you want to be home with your kids and your spouse? Do you want to bring your spouse home from a job? Is it that you want your spouse to maybe work a part-time job instead of a full-time job, or you don't want her to work at all? Where do you want this? All right. Where do I want it? Evidence. How will you know when you get it? How will you know? What will you hear? What will you see? What will you feel? Notice I said hear, see, and feel. The reason why I'm telling you this is there's a thing that I do, and I spend 15 to 30 minutes a day visualizing what's going to happen. Stephen, if he's watching and listening, which I'm sure he is, or his brother Paul, I'm sure he knows what I'm saying because Stephen does this. I know he tells me, I see it all the time. He talks about this, where you have to hear it in your mind. You have to hear it. You have to see it in your mind's pictures. And you also have to feel it in your bones. You have to do that because, see, when you go to test drive a car, let's just say you went, like the other day, we went out to look at jets. All right. I love jets. Most of you that see my Facebook, you probably see that I have a Tony Profit Enterprise jet. All right. I don't own that jet yet, but it's on its way. Okay. So my point is, and if I could make this small without messing up the slide, I would show it to you. But my point that I'm trying to make here is that what I'm doing is I'm going into my quiet room. All right. I'm going into my quiet room. And in this quiet room, I have a chair. And it's what do they call that? A chase? Is that what they're called, Christy? Like a chase? You sort of like have your feet up in the air and you sort of lean back. It's a chase, okay? And I just sit on that chase and I just turn the lights off and I get myself to a state of almost falling asleep, okay? I get myself to a state of almost falling asleep, but I don't fall asleep, all right? And then I have this music that it's very comforting, it's quiet, but it's not music that it's going to put you to sleep, okay? And it's sort of instrumental, but it's sort of like if you can think of music like you hear playing in Iraq, maybe. I don't know if this is a really good good analogy, but there's music like those people listen to, the Indian people and stuff like that, but it's not that music. But you know, I just music that is sort of like instrumental. There's no words, and put that on really low, and make sure. It's sort of like what Steve was teaching about doing mental push-ups and mental pull-ups. Remember that, Christy, how he says doing mental pull-ups? This is what he's trying to help you to understand. But I'm trying to tell you to go into a dark room and make this a ritual daily where you can hear, you can see, and you can feel. You can feel that day. So how will you know when you get it? How will you know that you have arrived? Okay, what will you hear? Will you hear something saying, I don't know, the old AOL adage, you got mail? When the email comes in and it's if you're part of Empower Network or, Big Idea Mastermind, if you get that email coming in, it's your e-wallet telling you, hey, you just got paid. Or is it that you see this coming in? You're actually seeing it. You go to your computer. Dave teaches this in the 15K formula, the very first video that's in the 15K formula, and there's audio in the back office of the Inner Circle that Dave talks about this, about going in and seeing it. I sit at my desk, right, Chris? You know what I'm talking about? I sit at my desk right now. The date is September, blah, blah, blah. The time is this time. I hear this bird chirping in the background coming off of the lanai where I'm hanging out in my condo, Stephen, in Hawaii, and I hear the bird. There's a beautiful bird. Were you in Hawaii, Christy? No, there's this beautiful bird, Christy. Oh my God! Every morning I would hear this bird. I'm going to ask Stephen to see what I'm going to ask him. Hopefully, if he's listening or watches later, he can just send me a message and tell me what that bird is. But there's this bird that makes this beautiful sound. Gorgeous sound. I literally turned off the air conditioning in our suite and I opened up the doors on the lanai just so that I can hear that bird sing every morning. That is how detailed you have to do this. You really need to do this that detailed. What is it that you hear? Is it your whisper, the sweet nothings from your spouse, just thanking you for making that commitment to do what you need to do to make this a reality? What do you see? Do you see the beautiful palm trees out in front of your house? Do you see your boat out on the yacht? Or out on the slip? Do you see a yacht? We went over this in Hawaii where Vic was going over some of his dreams and stuff like that. He wants a yacht. And you can literally see him going into it right there on the spot. You can literally see him in his mind's eye. I just sat there in awe. Miles and I and his wife, we sat up front. And, I was always one that never really cared about learning anything back when I was in school, so I always sat in the back. But I learned to sit in the front when I go to these events. So I was sitting up front, and I could literally sit there in the audience and watch Vic just take himself there. It was an amazing thing. If you guys are listening and you were there, you know what I'm talking about. When he began this portion, he started to teach us this thing. You can literally see him taking himself in his mind and his thoughts. He literally took himself to that day when he'll have that yacht. He literally took himself to that day when he's going to have that home. He literally took himself to that day when he can just sit out on his, here in the mainland, we call it a balcony, where he can literally stand on the balcony and look out and see his yacht sitting right in the slip in his 5,000 or 10,000 square foot home. I forget what size he said it's going to be. But, you know, I can literally sit there, and in my mind, I can start to see his dream. And it was amazing. What was he doing? Well, he was making himself feel, see, and hear what it's going to be like when he gets it. That's really powerful, my friends. This is so powerful, and you notice why I spend so much time on this. This is extremely powerful, and I put it like a little star here. This is very, very, very important. You want to nail this thing, okay? So get that feeling, get to hear it, get to see it, and make sure you hear it. And take yourself into that room and make sure you take the time daily to see it in your mind's eye, all right? How will others know? All right. How will others know? So basically what I'm asking you here is what will others hear? What will others see? What will others feel? Will others hear the stories of you making this kind of money? Will others see that you're starting to live a better lifestyle? Maybe you're driving better, nicer cars. Now you moved out of the home that you currently lived in. You paid off your mortgage. Maybe you don't want to move from the house you're in. I don't know. But, you know, what do you hear? How will others know that you've made it? How will others know that you made it? And I'm telling you, my friends, be that specific. Really get into it this specifically when you start to do these kind of things. How will others know? How would others hear? How will others see? How will others feel? You really want to get into it that deep. All right. And on the next point here that I'm going to make is my contribution. All right. Take personal responsibility, all right? What has stopped you so far? Sit down and really, really, was it somebody that in your life that maybe, you know, you think to yourself, oh, well, you know, this or that. Maybe you're starting to blame other people, like what Christy was talking about taking responsibility. Taking personal responsibility is the start. Taking responsibility for your own actions, for your own doing, for your own words that come out of your mouth is so important. And you really want to sit down and figure out, what was it that you did? What was it that you were doing that has stopped you to this day? Because as of the time you're watching this video, it's going to change from this day forward if you're taking this serious, okay? So what has stopped you so far from getting that goal or getting, you know, that, you know, what you had set out to do? What has stopped you up until this point? And what will you have to do differently? You remember how I talked to you about changing the way you speak, reading 30 minutes a day, listening to 30 minutes of audio on a daily basis, and then doing it for 30 days? Well, that could be one of the things that you would have to do differently. Well, okay, Tony, you're telling me I got to start reading for 30 days. I'm going to start doing it. You're telling me I got to listen to the 30 minutes of audios, good audios. I'm not talking about, you know, music and stuff like that. Music is good. But what I'm referring to here is good audio. Maybe I listen to the audio that's in the back office of the Inner Circle. Get good audios, whether you buy them online. Get good audios. Psycho-Cybernetics, maybe on audio. Get good audios, okay? So what will you have to do differently? Well, I'm going to have to start reading more. I'm going to have to turn the TV off. Ouch. Ouch, that's painful. I may have to take the TV and cut the cord. I know people that have done that. They literally cut the cord. on the TV. You ever hear that, Christy? When people do that, they literally cut the cord on their TV. They take the thing and turn it around and throw a blanket over it, and then they just put crap on top of it because they don't want to get rid of it. But that's what they do. They cut the cord so that way they can't turn it on. So what will I have to do differently? Now, I'm not saying go to that extreme, but you need to really think, because you know what, my friend? At the end of the day, guess who has to do all this stuff? Guess who has to do all this stuff? You do. At the end of the day, you have to do all this stuff. So that's why it says here, what will I have to do differently? So you need to look at yourself in the mirror or look at yourself pointing this. Remember I was telling you, when I'm telling you this, I'm pointing all my fingers back at me. So I'm literally sitting here pointing back at myself. What will I have to do differently? Okay, so make sure you ask yourself that. And what are some of the disadvantages to hitting my goal? Now this one, my friend, this one is extremely important. Notice that I put in here, think hard on this one. What are some of the disadvantages to hitting my goal? Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, shoot, Tony, if I hit all my goals, that's a good thing. Not necessarily. What are the disadvantages? Now, this is something that we had a conversation with. I had a conversation with Paulo Barroso. As a matter of fact, he said this, and he said this to me like 2 days in a row. And 2 days in a row, he had a business. Okay, I'm not going to tell a story, but he had a business, and he decided that he's going to sell his portion of his business to his partner, and he's going to get out. Well, the weird thing is, this is one of the disadvantages of Paulo hitting his goal. And he thought about this. He knew this was going to happen because Paulo does this. The stuff they're teaching right here, Paulo, I know he does this. I know Stephen does this. I know Miles does this. I know that everybody that are leaders in our organization, they all do this. We all do this. Okay. They had to think about the disadvantages. So let me just use this as a for instance. One of the disadvantages might be you'll lose a friend. One of your favorite friends, your close friends that maybe have coffee with you on a daily basis and come over and tell you about the gossip of the neighbor down the street having an affair on her spouse or his spouse. Or maybe it's something that, that you really don't need, but it's going to be a disadvantage to you because now you're going to lose all those people. When you start to make it, you're going to really know who your friends are. I said this to a lot of people. I said this to Paulo. I said this to a couple of people. I said this to Vic when we were in Hawaii. I said, we need to do this. This is why we do these every 90 days. We do these get-togethers because we need to start forming relationships now. While you're building your business, you want to form good relationships and have positive people in your life. Because when you start to realize the disadvantages of hitting your goal, the only way you're not going to quit is by having friends that are going in the same direction you are. So what's going to happen? Many people will probably get divorced. What do you think, Christy? Many people will probably get divorced. Many people will probably lose family members over this. Not their lives, but family members won't talk to them anymore. This happened to Layla. She said that after she started going out making money, it's like she had some problems with her family. I don't know about this if it's going on now, but this is what happens. I hear this all the time, where when people get to this point, the disadvantages of hitting their goal. The disadvantages of hitting their goal is they lose family members. They lose friends. Those people that used to hang around with you, guess what? They don't call you anymore. And then you have to do the other steps like I talked to you in the past 5 steps. If you're not doing the previous 4 steps that I talked to you about, then here is for a possibility where you could fail. You could start falling right here. Because say you start making $10,000 a week. Or some of you, $10,000 a day. Let's say you're one of those people that go out. I'm not saying you're going to make $10,000 a day. Okay, so that's an income claim disclaimer. I'm not making any income claims here. But let's just say you're one of those people that go out. I like my INC there. Beautiful letters. But let me just tell you this. Let's say you're one of those people that go out and start making $10,000 a month. All right, your goal is to do that. That's what you set your intention on, and you're starting to reach that goal, and now you're starting to see those disadvantages once you start to hit your goals. What one of your disadvantages is people don't want to talk to you anymore. Your friends, the 5 friends that you have in your life right now, go look at your bank account, because the 5 friends that you're hanging around with right now what's giving you the outcome of what's in your bank account. Try me on this. Go to your closest 5 friends. And I bet you, man, I'll bet you nickels to dimes that you pretty much make what they make. And that's where this is why I'm really spending a lot of time here. That is one of the disadvantages to hitting your goal. One of your disadvantages is you're going to start making some more money. So that means you're going to drive nicer cars. That means you're probably going to move out of your house. That means you're probably going to move out of your state. And guess what? All of your friends, quote unquote, and your family members, quote unquote, guess what? Now they're going to start to shy away from you. They don't want nothing to do with you. So I really need you to look at this part right here and think about this. Think about it hard and make sure that you write it out. Make sure you write it out clearly, because what you write down, you're putting it into your subconscious mind. So really write out, what are the disadvantages if I start to make $10,000 a week? So really go into that. Now, point number 6, your resources. Okay, what does my objective depend on? Okay, what does my objective depend on? The thing is here that when you start to look at this and you start to say, what does my objective depend on? Does it depend on a supportive spouse? If you have a spouse, whether husband or wife, it does. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, it depends on your spouse giving you that support. All right, it depends. What else is it going to depend on? What does this objective depend on? Your children? Does it depend on your children allowing you the time? Like right now, I threw my hat in the ring and I said that I wanted to do this, just like Christy here, my co-host here. She said, I want to be there too, Tony. I want to help in any way that I can. We both made a commitment. Christy, did we make a commitment to be here, right? Because we wanted to help our brother Stephen out. We didn't want him to cancel this. We wanted him to keep this going. This is a good thing that's happening for everybody in our family. So we didn't want this to happen. So Stephen, whatever we have to do, we're here to help you. So what did this do? Let me sort of point out here what this did for me. Well, this was not on my schedule. It was not on my schedule to do. So I had to go. And I think that even Christy had to make some adjustments to her schedule to be here. Well, what does my objective depend on? Well, it depends on my spouse. I don't know, Christy, if you're married, but you probably have a significant other or something. Somebody was depending on her. So this objective that we're both on, this road that we're traveling and this destination that we're going on, this objective depended on someone allowing us to do it. Wouldn't you agree, Christy? That it allowed somebody out. Somebody had to allow us without fighting on us or out saying, you always do this crap. This home-based business crap. It sucks, blah, blah, blah. You have to have someone in your corner, whether it's a spouse or, what does my objective depend on? It's going to depend on you being clear with your significant other. It's going to be your objective being clear with your children and making sure that those people that are around you and those people that are in your life, that they know what your objectives are, because it's going to depend on them. And it's also going to depend on you knowing that if they don't support you, you got to depend on yourself to give yourself that push that you need to get over that edge. So when somebody's not supporting you, you have to depend on you. So not only do you have to depend on your spouse if you have one, not only do you have to depend on family members and children or something like that, people in your life, you also have to depend on yourself so that if somebody else doesn't, if you can't depend on somebody else for their support, they're going to fight you, that you do it anyway. All right, my friend, that you do it anyway. And what sources do you already have that will allow you to hit your objective? Okay, you remember when I told you about this young man that wanted to go all the way to diamond? All right, he said that to me. I asked him, what level are you at right now? He said, Tony, I'm only at gold, I believe. Gold. What's the one right below platinum? I'm sorry, it escapes me, Christy. Right below platinum, what is that?
It's gold. It's gold. It's basic, silver, gold, platinum, diamond.
Thank you. I had a little bit of my mind went there. But he was at the gold level. Okay. So I said to him, all right. And then he said, I'm going to go silver. No, I'm going to go platinum. He was going to go all the way up to platinum. I'm going to go platinum this Friday when I get paid. And then I said to him, okay, Well, what resources do you already have that will allow you to hit your objective? His objective was to be at Diamond because he didn't want to miss the next Diamond event because we don't even know where it's at. I kind of know, but I'm not going to say. But he wants to be at the next Diamond event. He wants to be at the next Millionaire Retreat. Well, I asked him in so many words, what do you have already? Go out and watch that video that I told him how to build a business, even if you're flat broke. Go out and watch that video, how to build a business, even if you're flat broke. And he did that. He went out and he listened to it. It was 45 minutes. And I told him it was 45 minutes. And he was like, wait a minute, I have this car I can sell. So he sold a few things. And then the next thing he was going to sell was this Honda Accord. And that's what he did. So he made enough money with that car and he went all the way up to Diamond. So this young man looked at himself and asked, what resources do I already have that will allow me to hit my objective of becoming Diamond? What do I already have that will allow me to hit my objectives of, okay? So you just write that out. What resources do I need to obtain? Okay? Now, if you, this is really important because if you are going to say quit your job, all right? This is one of the things that what happens is it gets people scared because they'll say to themselves, oh, I have insurance, right, Christy? Yeah, I have insurance, I have this, I have that. And this is, this happened to somebody actually. This actually happened, I won't say his name, I almost did. But this actually happened to one of our members, okay? We were there and Vic was talking to him and he asked Vic a question. And he literally said this, okay? He said, well, I already make $2,000. This is what he said, Christy. I already have another business besides this one. I have another business that all I have to do is work 15 minutes a month and just pick up the phone and make a call. Now, he had a resource that was already a resource. And if he was thinking that if he focuses 100% on this, he's going to have to stop that. So he needed to ask himself, what resources do I need to obtain to stop doing that? Now, I told him you don't really need to stop doing that because that's only 15 minutes and he could probably hire somebody to make that phone call for him. But, I don't know what he's decided to do. But you have to, all of us have to ask this question, what resources do I need to obtain? Do I need to go out and get an LLC? Do I need to go out and form a C Corp? Do I need to go out and form, these are things. Do I need to get an attorney to form my corporation or whatever? Do I need to have personal liability insurance? Whatever it is that you're deciding to do, because not everybody here is in a home-based type of business. Many of you here that I know because I invited you are actually in other types of businesses, and you have a brick and mortar or real estate business because, that's a lot of people that are my friends are real estate investors. So you need to ask yourself, like we did when we started our business, what resources do I need to obtain? And that is a question that you need to ask, and you got to make sure that you spend time on that because you really want to know what exactly do I need to obtain once I start to reach my goals and I decide I'm going to fire my boss like I did in 1997. I'm going to tell my boss adios amigos. If that is your goal and you want to fire your boss, then you need to lay this out. And I'm telling you to do this because if you can be this specific, it's amazing how things are going to start to fall in place for you. So want to make sure that you understand what resources do I need to obtain, like insurance, etc. Number 7, reality check. Here's where the rubber meets the road right here. This is where the rubber meets the road. When you're starting to get your well-formed outcome, here's where the rubber meets the road. This is your reality check. Is this what you really want? Okay. So many people say, oh, I want to make $1 million a year. Really? Do you know that if you say to yourself something that is not really what you want, it ain't going to happen? Okay. So is this what you really, really want? So this is where the reality check comes in, okay? And also, what will happen when you get what you want? This is similar to what we just talked about, but in a little bit of a difference, looking at it a little bit differently. What will happen when you get what you want? Okay, well, my wife don't have to work anymore. My children will go to the best schools. What will happen when you get what you want? I'll be able to give more to my church. I'll be able to, I was hearing a call that Lawrence did one time. He was talking about doing water wells. Okay, so what will happen when you get what you want? Okay, So that's one of the things that you really need to focus on. What will happen when you get what you want? You'll be able to pay off your house. You'll be able to whatever. What will happen when you get what you want? Now, what are the consequences to my family, relationships, business, and future? Remember when I was talking, Christy, when I was saying about what are the consequences? Like, family members probably ain't gonna like you very much, and things like that. So, what are the consequences to my family? Okay, if let's just say, for instance, you start to get up there, and maybe your goal is to be able to speak on stage. Maybe your goal is to be able to talk in front of thousands of people, and you're going to be called on, like many leaders are right now. You're going to be called on to go out and talk to masses of people. Maybe a company like what happened with Les Brown, how companies started to call him after he started to get that recognition and winning 5 awards, that's really outstanding awards. Now he's being called on. So what is that doing to his family? Well, it's taking him away from his family. See, it's what you're doing now, and once you reach your goal and you get what you want, this might be one of the consequences for your family, where the other spouse might have to stay with the children longer while you go out and build the business. Or, you see what I'm saying? Or if you have a current business now, like Paulo Barroso, how he had to sell his business because he wanted to focus on this. So what was the consequences to Paulo's family? What were the consequences to Paulo's business? Well, he got rid of that partnership. Now he's focusing on this. His future obviously looks really good. So you sit down and you write this out. And then you come to number 8, which this one is very important. This is, I have here, you can't see it, but I have here, everything is like highlighted in red. Okay. So what does it all mean to you? What does all of this mean to you? What is the, getting the car of your dream? What does, having the house of your dream? What does paying off the bills, getting rid of all the bills? What does this all mean? Why, when you achieve your goal, what will that mean for you? Okay. Really take the time here and really, really, really write all of this out. And pay very close attention to number 8 here, okay? When you achieve your goal, what will that mean for you? Because it's you that it's important to. Do you realize if you don't do any of this, the one is going to affect is you? I mean, if you don't get the finances straight, that might affect your whole entire family. But you're doing this really, remember we talked about this in the very beginning. We did talk about this, Christy, in the very beginning. We talked about where, what is this? Why are we doing this? First and foremost, most of us want to get the income out of the way. Okay? Because if we don't have the income out of the way, we can't help nobody. So when you achieve your goal, what will that mean for you? Be very specific here. Okay? Be very, very specific on this point right here. Now, are you a leader? We got some points here that we're going to go over here. Leaders believe that each person is valuable, able, and responsible. Okay, like when Stephen, this is really cool, Christy. I don't know if you thought about this, but when Stephen just said, "Hey man, guys, step up, do it." Stephen did not know whether or not I can do this call. He didn't know if Christy could do this call, right, Christy? He just said, "Go ahead and do it." Why? Because Stephen is a leader, and a leader believes that each person is valuable and able and responsible. He never thought once, is Tony and Christy going to be able to do this? Why? Because he's a leader. And a leader believes that each person is valuable, able, and responsible. Ask him and he'll tell you that is true. Real leaders see leadership as a process for empowering people to see themselves in a positive way, as competent, productive, and important. Leaders recognize the potential in others that mere managers miss because leaders are looking for it. They come into leadership roles knowing that empowerment is part of the political process. Leaders view themselves favorably as valuable, contributing team members, not managers. They see a field of political equals, not subordinates to be dealt with. Leaders know the golden rule of good business, and they treat people as they expect to be treated. That's an old biblical term. Treat others as you want to be treated, okay? And leaders model the respect they expect in all personal and professional interactions with others. Let me repeat that. Leaders model the respect they expect, okay? I'm not asking to be respected. I expect to be respected. Did you ever hear that, Christy, before? I don't ask to be respected. I expect to be respected. And when you went, and I carry myself that way. So if you ever met me personally, you'll say, this guy, he's not asking me to respect him. He's demanding to be respected because I'm going to respect you. So leaders model the respect they expect in other personal and professional interactions with others. Leaders realized that each person has untapped skills that can be harnessed to achieve organizational goals. Like here in J.A.M, we have an organizational goal, and that is to get others to step up and get others to reach their potential, whatever it could be. Like Christy, says, I don't want to be in the front, Tony, you do this, and I'll support you. See, some people, right, Christy? Some people have the front runner that they can do the front thing and hey, listen, I'll support you back here, but I'm still going to be involved. See what I'm saying? So when leaders realize that each person has untapped skills that can be harnessed to achieve organizational goals, like what we're trying to do here with Big Idea and J.A.M, and at a profit. At the end of the day, there's got to be a profit, because why the hell are you in business if you ain't making a profit? At the end of the day, it's got to be a profit, okay? And this could be also a profit, like you folks that are on this call watching this video right now. You're profiting from this, I pray, because you're able to take these 8 core steps. And it's funny how these 8 core steps, right, Christy? Because you got the 8 core commitments in our basic level. This is another 8 core steps. These are 8 core steps, and you're going to profit from them if you take the time to go back and watch this video again. If you didn't, take copious notes, because I know I'm going a little bit fast here. But you also profit from this. So a leader must have the courage to look for hidden abilities, including those that other managers have written off. Okay? And leaders do this by observing, monitoring, and most important, listening. Okay? So if you're asking yourself, if you're probably saying to yourself, I'm not a leader, I don't want to be a leader. Well, like I told you in the very beginning, you already are. Okay? You are a leader because if you're a husband or a wife or a brother or a sister or a cousin, you are a leader. Even if you're only 19 years old and all you have is a dog, you're a leader to your dog. All right? So you are a leader. It's just that you have to, if you really want to get to other levels of leadership, then you could begin by what I'm teaching you here to implement and to instill these leadership roles into yourself by studying, reading 30 minutes a day, listening to 30 minutes of audio on a daily basis for 30 days. That's how you're going to begin to instill the leadership into yourself. Now, there's some things going on right now where some folks have committed to do 1 video every day, right, Christy? 1 video a day for the next 90 days. What is that? Well, that is your formation of your leadership, okay? Now, some people decided not to do that. They decided to do other things, and that's okay. But the thing is you make that commitment to yourself first and foremost, and then you make that commitment to your family, and then you make that commitment to your team to make your yes be yes and your no be no. Okay, that's another biblical thing. Make your yes be yes and your no be no, all right? So that is something that you have to be able to implement, and I know that all of you that are here listening to the sound of my voice, because I don't have a picture on here right now, that you can understand that you can build all this stuff. You don't have to do this. You're not going to get this overnight. I didn't get to the point where I can speak like I am speaking now. This didn't happen overnight. Do you know how many quiet nights I had speaking to myself into a videotape where one person showed up, and now we have hundreds of people, probably, I don't even know how many people are watching this and learning here, that I'm able to do this because I was able to take that to myself and begin to learn and read and study so that I can get to that position to be a leader in my own right. You know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying, Christy, here? I mean, is there anything you want to add here before we go to the next slide?
Nope, you're doing great, Tony. I love what I'm hearing.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so the next slide here, what we're going to share with you is, Leaders empower people across the board. All right. This means that they don't play favorites. They're fair and even-handed, regardless of their personal feelings. So if you're building, let's say you're building in power, what you want to do is you want to be fair, and then you don't want to play favorites. You know what I mean? You want to, like Dave and Dave do. They don't just have two people in their leadership group. They have people that step up. It could be you. It could be anybody to be in the leadership. And the way they do that is that they empower people across the board. Everybody has the same opportunity. And the same thing, Vic said this many times. I'm sure you heard him say that, Christy. And, even Stephen is doing this. He's going to allow people to be the leader that they are, and they're going to let it happen across the board. They mean that they're not playing favorites, and they're fair and they're even-handed, regardless of their personal feelings. Okay, so leaders expect to be role models, and they deliberately model the behaviors they want others to adopt. Yeah, like I said, you read, you spend 30 minutes, and you do that in 30 days. You're adopting the model and behaviors of a leader, and you're doing it deliberately. So what do others see? Do they see you behaving in ways that they want to copy? So you want to behave in a way where other people will want to emulate you and copy you. All right, and leaders are realistic in awarding praise. How many times have you, if you've gone to the events? Very important to get to the events. How many times do you see at the events where people go up and they'll get their checks? You see that, Christy? That happens all the time, where people go up and they'll get their check. Well, what is that? That is Dave and Dave's way of being realistic and awarding the praise where the praise is due. And when giving the praise, be specific, timely, and accurate. That's why we do these things every 90 days. They want to be specific, timely, accurate. Leaders work to develop trusting and professional relationships with everyone. And the better you know people, the better you are at reading situations and predicting reactions. You know what I mean? So, and then the last thing here is leaders are organized, competent, and prepared, even when these are not their native characteristics. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, shoot, I am nowhere near competent or prepared or organized. Listen, we're not saying that you need to do this today, but with these tools that I'm handing you right now, you can put these tools in the toolbox, and then when you need to go there to the box and get it out, you can start pulling out the organization skills. You can start pulling out becoming competent by reading 30 minutes a day, by listening to audios 30 minutes a day, by doing this for 30 days. Are you starting to realize what's happening here? Where if you can do this and you can do this, you start to build up that competent preparedness and that native character. It'll become a native characteristic. So leaders build cohesive teams, and that's why everything that I taught you will funnel down to this, where you'll start to build cohesive teams, and they do not merely just manage people. You want a cohesive team. Chris, you want people that'll be cohesive, right? I mean, in your team, you don't want just, you don't want to babysit. You don't want to have to be a manager of people. That could really burn you out. And this is why, for those of you that don't understand why Dave and Dave do the things that they do it that way because they know that if they go and build a cohesive team, then you can put down the phone and pick up a paycheck. You ever hear that saying? Put down the phone and pick up the paycheck. Why did they say that? Because they're building cohesive teams. I have people on my team. I might have spoke to them one time, like Larry. There's a good guy. I never talked to him. I think the first time I talked to him was last week when he asked me, "Hey, how do I go up to Diamond?" That's what he asked me. I was like, "Okay, here, simple. This is how you do it." So, but he had a problem with he had an issue that he was dealing with the payment process. He took care of it. He didn't send me an email to say, "Hey, I'm having an issue. What do I do?" He knew he had to get back to support. He did it on his own. Why? Because he's a leader in his own right. So these are points here that take them down. And I'm not asking you, I'm not telling you that you got to do this like right away. But these are pointers that if you take them and if you start to implement like what we taught you, reading and then listening to audios and doing that for 30 days, you're going to see that this stuff is going to really come up and it's going to start to become more of a habit. And here's the problem, and I already talked about this. It's difficult to see the value in every person if that you first can't see the value in yourself. Okay? If you cannot see that you are valuable, Like if you say to yourself, oh, I can't do this, or oh, I'm not valuable, well, then it's going to be difficult for you to see value in other people, okay, if you can't see the value in yourself. And without belief in your own value, calling yourself a leader probably seems like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm no leader. And you are a leader. Like I said, even if you're just one person and all you have is a dog, then you are a leader to that little dog or that big dog. That you're a leader because you feed that dog. You're a leader because you groom them. You see what I'm saying? And I know I'm being a little bit, silly, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, that you are a leader in your own right. It's just at what level do you want to get to? And the way you're going to start to do that is you have to have belief in your own value, okay? And calling yourself a leader will not seem like it's a sham if you can get to that point. Now, I'm going to show you a powerful image that demonstrates this point. All right, it demonstrates this idea really, really clearly. Have you seen this image before, Christy? Okay. Now, this is what people see. All right, people see this up here, and they don't see what's going on the inside. If you hear the leaders, all the leaders, and this is something that's going all across the board. Christy, you probably hear this all the time. This is why you hear us talking about read for 30 minutes a day, and listen to audio for 30 minutes a day. Do this for 30 days. Why? Because up here is what you see, but this is what you're building, is the inside. Nobody knows how big that iceberg on the inside is. Now, this could be a negative, or this could be a positive. The question is, how are you going to make this, the things that people do not see, stand out and make this smaller portion of you look amazing? Well, it's by doing what we just taught you in the last 8 steps. Okay. Now, what I want to do here is, for time's sake, I just noticed that we're getting a little bit behind here. Your story has value. If you guys have been seeing and hearing Dave and other leaders talking about your story has value. Okay. I have uncovered a secret to proving your story has value. And then just think of one of the most challenging moments in your life, one of your lowest moments or your greatest triumphs. Think about that. What if, maybe something that you were going through and you stuck to it. It was your lowest moment, so you thought. It was your lowest moment, and you stuck to it until you got your greatest triumph. And that was the triumph that you made it. You got on top of it. Just think about those lowest moments and your greatest triumph. And once you start to see that, hey man, I was here, sort of like when you hear Dave tell his story, how he was a drug addict and stuff, and now look at him. See, you look at your lowest moments and you see when you get out to the top and you make your greatest triumphs. How did you make it to the other side? These are things you want to think about, because what you're doing is you're celebrating your successes. You never want to forget the successes, the little successes that you've had in the past. Those little successes, you want to go back and get them. Whether it was I paid my mom's house off, or I bought my brother a car, or I helped this lady, a little old lady, walk across the street. Those little triumphs, those are things that you need to think about that helped you to make it through to the other side. And how are you here today? And like I told you, this was something I was putting together for Diamond members and Masters. But how are you here as a student today and part of this team? Let me just take this out of here because I forgot to take that out. I told you this is where I was doing this. I was going to do this for our Diamond members. But anyway, how are you here and taking the time right now to do this? This is one of your success stories. The fact that the people that are listening right now, those that got off, guess what? They're going to lose out. That's their problem. But you're here. Christy, they're here, right? Christy, they're here. And those people that are here and they're learning and they're taking time out of their day and probably losing sleep or whatever you had to do to be here at such short notice. And those of you that are watching this on recording, you guys have value. Your story has value. How you got here today is valuable. It's valuable to me. It's valuable to Christy. It's valuable to Steve and Paul and everybody in our family. It's valuable to all of us. Your story is extremely important to me. Isn't their story important to you too, Christy? So the point that I want to make here, and I think this is the last slide. Okay. The point that I want to make here is that all of you have what it takes. You all have what it takes. If you can just go through these short process, it could possibly take you about an hour to do all this stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you a small assignment. I didn't put it up in the slides here because I wanted you to see my face when I'm going over and giving you this assignment. Do yourself a favor. You're not doing me any favors, okay? You're not doing Steven any favor. You're not doing Paul, anybody, Christy. They're not doing you a favor either, right? You're doing yourself a favor. And here's a small assignment that I'm going to ask you to do, okay, as we wrap up here. Go through these questions on your own. I'm looking down because I don't want to mess this up. And really think about it. Really think about everything we talked about here. Go through them and really take the time to go over every single point. And if it takes pages and pages, so what? Get a book like you saw Stephen carries this big book, and in there's all blank pages. But what he does, he writes everything out. Like he'll lay out a plan. Sort of like, I'll show you real quick, like this plan right here. So you lay out this plan, okay? And we follow this plan. And when you follow this plan, your outcome will be what you set it out to be. So make sure that you go through these questions in detail. Make sure after we're done here, rewind it and watch it again. Rewind it and watch it again. Take copious notes. Stop the video. Write down your notes and do this. Go into the 15K formula. If you don't have it, step up and get the 15K formula, which is the platinum level. Get the 15K formula platinum level. Do that for yourself. Don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. I mean, I'm telling you to do this, and I'm not going to make a nickel from it unless I invite you. Well, you know, the point is that you need to do this for yourself. Video number 1, go over that. I'm telling you, my friend, this is why we really focus on this, because the traffic and all the other good stuff comes afterwards. If you can focus and master this, 80% of your focus should be on this. 80% on this. Because the minute you get this, even if you're going out to do, you know, pull-ups, like Steven says, you're going out and you do it in your mind, the 20% that's left is going to be easy. If you do the 80% this and the 20% the traffic and all the other stuff, everything else will fall into place. Trust me when I tell you this. So go back, that's your assignment, go through these things and do it again. And I want to leave you with this thought. This, like I said, this might take you an hour to do this. It could take you about an hour to do this if you're very serious. I know some of you are gonna, there's a lot of leaders that are watching this, and some of you are gonna send me a message, just, man, Tony, it took me an hour to do it, but man, am I glad that I did it. And trust me, when you do it, it's gonna change your life. Your why is not your purpose. There's a reason why I wrote that. A lot of people think that, well, my why is my children or something like that. Well, that's not your purpose. And this is why I really wanted to point out that Tony Robbins book, and that is Awakening the Giant Within. Because the giant within is your purpose. The giant within, right, Christy? The giant within is your purpose. Okay? Your why might be, oh, well, I just want to pay off the bills, whatever. You know, that's your why. I want to, you know, bring my wife home, whatever. But your purpose is something deeper and something bigger. And this is why I'm telling you, as your assignment, is to go back over this, and then go back over this again, and then go back over it again. Go over and over and over until you really, really hone this thing down. Get it down to the science of it. And I'm telling you, your business will just take off from there. I'm telling you, it'll just take off from there. Last thing I want to leave you with your challenge is make a video. All right. Find maybe we can do something. I don't know, Christy. Maybe we could talk to Steve about doing this within our own group about getting accountability partners. Okay. And then what you want to do, this is a pretty good idea, is that you want to make a video. This you're going to do by yourself. You want to make a video of you talking about this journey from A to B. You know, like where you came from and where you're going, and where you came from and where you are. Make a video of you having a discussion of doing this, and then share your video. Maybe make it one of your videos a day for 90 days. Maybe go through and break these things down in 90 days. Maybe your story, you start out with where you're at, and then the next day you start to go and you just start to increment until you get to your 90th day. And then on the 90th day, that's going to be that B. That's your outcome. So I really, 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 really hope that you do this. Really, for your own good. I really hope that you go through this. And if for anything, at least it'll make me feel good that if I was able to help one person, even if it's just Christy who's here with me today, even if it's just her, if I was able to help her, I did my job. But if I'm able to help the hundreds of you that are watching right now, if I can help several, at least 10% of you, then my purpose of why I'm here, then I'm reaching my purpose. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, Tony, how can you add to perfection? That was wonderful. Wonderful message. And I got to say, if people will really pay attention and do the homework, because that's where you make it happen. You can listen and listen and listen and listen and listen, and until you actually get up and do something. You can watch somebody swing a golf club. You can listen to them tell you about how to swing the golf club, but until you actually get up and swing that golf club, there is no learning that takes place that really becomes a part of you. So just want to make that contribution. And I've got to get running. I got to go get my son. But it's been wonderful, Tony. Thank you very much for your message tonight. And I was really, really just glad to be here, and made some notes up here in the chat, and just hope that everybody got a lot of value out of tonight.
Awesome. Well, listen, you guys, I really want to thank you. I'm honored that Stephen and Paul and the J.A.M family allowed me and Christy to do this for you guys. It's like my friend Les Brown says, my plum pleasing pleasure to do this for you. It really was. If somebody invited you here today, it's just sort of like the altar call, right? But seriously, if somebody invited you here today, it's because they really did care about you. They cared about you enough to ask you to come and watch without knowing what we were going to talk about. Because this thing, Christy said to me, Tony, hey, what are we going to talk about? I said, I had no idea. I had no idea what I'm going to share with you, but I know what my intention was this morning before I got Google slapped and I couldn't do what I wanted to do this morning. And I was blessed with this opportunity by Stephen to do this for you today. Somebody cared enough for you to send you to this video. Now, I don't know if you're watching it live or if you're watching it after the fact. It really makes no difference. There's a button either at the bottom of this video. If there's not, get back to the person who sent you this video, because that person cared for you. That person cared for your life and said, you know what? You really need to watch this video, because this is where I'm going. This is my family. These are the people I hang around with. These are positive people. I'm having a blast with these people, and I'm making money at the same time. Income disclaimer. I'm not saying you're going to make any money, but somebody actually cared enough for you to invite you here, and it's my hope and my prayer that you take them up on their offer. You have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day and an awesomely blessed life. You take care. Bye for now.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, Christy.
All right, you too, Tony.
All right, bye-bye.